You want to know who I am? Folks call me the Bone Man. Ain't my real name, but it's the one that stuck. Christmas Eve is supposed to be the safest night of the year. Songs on the radio, lights in the windows, parents telling their young uns that the world is kind, at least for one more night. But some things know how to wear kindness like a coat, and some smiles don't mean joy at all. Pull up close to the fire and listen careful. This disturbing little story is called The Cracked Smile.
By the time the sun went down, the house was already humming. Not music exactly, not yet, but the clatter and brightness of Christmas Eve. The oven ticking as it cooled, wrapping paper torn and folded back again. Voices calling from room to room, somewhere in the background. A record spun softly, the needle riding a tune older than the walls themselves, a lonesome fiddle. A voice rising slow and plain. I am a poor wayfaring stranger. It wasn't a Christmas song, not officially, but it always showed up this time of year like a ghost that knew when it was welcome. The girl sat cross-legged on the rug, hands folded in her lap, listening with the kind of attention only children still have. She was old enough to know the rules: stay inside, stay quiet, don't peek, but young enough to believe that rules bent for magic. Her parents were busy in that grown-up way that feels permanent to a child. Lights to fix, dishes to wash, one last present to hide. They smiled at her as they passed, kissed her hair, told her Santa would come soon. And then they left her alone with her thoughts. That was when she heard it. Not bells, not laughter. A voice, soft as breath on glass, not calling out to the world, but calling to her. Her name spoken the way her mother said it when she wanted her to come close, gentle, familiar, patient. She crept to the window. Outside, snow had laid itself smooth and white, the yard glowing faintly under the Christmas lights. And there, near the tree at the edge of the lawn, stood a figure shaped like every picture she'd ever seen. Red coat, white trim, hat pulled low, Santa. But the smile was wrong, too wide, too fixed, like something had cracked underneath and never quite gone back together. It didn't move when it smiled, it held the smile as if it were wearing one. The fiddle on the record slid into a long aching note, and the voice outside spoke again. Not louder, just closer. Come on now, I've been waiting. He lifted a hand, beckoned. Inside the house was warm, gold light, familiar sounds. Outside was silent, snow swallowing everything, but Santa knew her name. She pulled on her coat, slipped into her boots, the door opened without a sound. Cold wrapped her instantly, sharp and clean. The house behind her seemed to dim, as if she'd stepped out of one world and into another. The figure stood waiting, still smiling. Behind her, unnoticed, unhidden, something sparked. A wire, a bulb, a moment too long. Flame climbed the Christmas tree like it had been waiting all night. Inside, her parents screamed her name, smoke rolling thick and black. Fire swallowed garland and ribbon and memory in one hungry breath. Outside, the girl never heard it. She stood in the snow, breath fog in the air as the heat behind her bloomed. Sudden, terrible light roared against the night. The house burned like a signal flare to a world that had already turned its back. The false Santa stood beside her now, close enough that she could see the cracks in the smile. Not painted, not carved, something split, something forced. The fiddle on the record, still spinning inside the burning house, dragged its bow across one final line, the voice whispering words meant for travelers who never quite make it home. I'm just going over Jordan. The girl watched the flames, felt the heat on her face, the cold at her back. She was alive, saved, maybe, or taken. The smile never changed.
You've been listening to Requiem Radio, where music bleeds into the supernatural. And that was the cracked smile. Some songs promise comfort. Some promise come dressed in red and white. And sometimes the thing that saves you from the fire leads you somewhere colder instead. Ain't gonna be no more tonight, y'all rest easy. And don't let the dark drive you home.